Good afternoon. My name is Father Mark Scalise, and I'm the Director of Campus Ministry here at Fairfield University. And our office has taken the lead in organizing this afternoon's program. It's now my privilege to introduce to you the President of Fairfield University, Father Jeffrey Von Arx of the Society of Jesus.
Good afternoon. On behalf of everyone at Fairfield University, I want to welcome you all to this memorial service honoring Professor Gisela Gil-Egui and her husband, Jose Labrador. Gisela and I arrived at Fairfield the same year, in 2004, and like so many of you, I found her to be a delightful friend, an enthusiastic and inspiring colleague, and an accomplished scholar and teacher. During our years here, we also went on several international trips together, including a very memorable one to Cuba. Gisela used her ability to bridge distance through language and technology to gain greater access to information for communities in locations all over the region, most notably in some of the poorest nations in the Western Hemisphere, not only Cuba, but Nicaragua as well. Much of our global progress on reducing poverty has been attributed to getting communities in touch with the information they need. Gisela was actively doing that, not just studying development and reading about it, but activating it, making it happen, changing people's lives. She was a wonderful companion, knowledgeable and passionate about Latin America and the Caribbean, and had a great love and appreciation for the people and a desire to be of service to them. As Associate Professor of Communication at Fairfield University, Gisela taught courses focusing on globalization of mass media and information, mass media and society, and other subjects. She assisted her students on their thesis proposals and research, and was an avid and inspiring faculty collaborator in a number of other projects and committees. The loss of such a vital and integral member of our university community has profoundly affected us all. Today's memorial service will give us an opportunity to mourn the loss of Gisela and Jose, as well as to celebrate their lives and what they meant to us. I would now like to invite Dr. Terry Brown to extend greetings from everyone at Housatonic Community College who share in our grief and mourning for their colleague, Jose. Dr. Brown.
To Professor Von Arx, to the faculty and staff of Fairfield University who have been so incredibly warm and gracious, not only in their sharing of grief, but also in their celebration of the lives of our beloved colleagues. To the faculty and staff of Housatonic Community College, but most especially to the friends, family, and loved ones of Jose and Gisela. It is my privilege and my pleasure to welcome all of you with President Von Arx to this memorial service on behalf of President Brody. I have words from President Brody that he asked for me to deliver to all of you. He says, "I regret I am unable to be present today The loss of our beloved Jose and Gisela has left pain in our hearts and a void in our lives. To the family of Jose and Gisela, please accept my condolences for the loss of your family members. Jose and Gisela were amazing people that committed their time to helping others and making a difference in their lives. Jose and Gisela touched countless lives, and today we shed tears and reflect. We reflect on their generosity. We reflect on their kindness. We reflect on their care for others. We reflect on the profound impact they had on our communities, and we reflect on how they touched each of our lives. We are blessed to have known them, and they will live on in our memories, our actions, and the knowledge they shared with us. Jose and Gisela were special people that entered our lives for a purpose. They entered our lives to teach us and to provide examples of how we all should live our lives. Housatonic Community College has lost a member of our family. In the words of our faculty, staff, and students, we lost a colleague, a true friend, a wonderful human being, a contributor, a talented and caring individual, a dedicated professional, a gentle, patient human being, a great man, and a beautiful soul. This echoes the comments I have heard about Gisela. These two beautiful angels graced us with their presence, impacted our lives, and then were called home. Find comfort in having been blessed to have known these two beautiful angels, our beloved Jose and Gisela. Rest in peace, Jose and Gisela, and thank you for sharing your lives with us.
As so many of you know, during their first semester here, freshmen are required to take a non-credit course called FYE, or First Year Experience, in which they learn the ins and outs of how to be college students at Fairfield. Part of that experience includes a primer in some of the Jesuit values that undergird a Fairfield education, qualities and attitudes that we hope will shape who they become by the time they graduate from here and go forth into the world. Magis, cura personalis, being men and women for others, and reflecting on experience. Magis means more or better in Latin, not being satisfied with the merely good enough to get by, but always striving to be better, to do more, to aim higher. Cura personalis, also from Latin, meaning care of the person. Caring for students as whole persons, seeking not only to educate their minds, but to take care of their bodies and hearts and spirits. Being men and women for others, an expression first articulated by Father Pedro Arrupe, the Superior General of the Jesuits in the 1960s and 70s. Flowing from the Christian and humanist traditions that shaped Jesuit pedagogy, this value teaches students that they have a responsibility to use the knowledge and skills they learn here to benefit other people beyond their own narrow circle, especially those at the margins who need help the most. And reflection on experience, a fundamental component of Jesuit pedagogy that encourages students to probe their educational and life experiences, to think about implications and ponder consequences so they can gain greater fruit from them. Our program this afternoon is loosely organized around each of these four values. Values that Gisela embraced and imparted to her students, and that she lived out of herself and shared with Jose. The various poems, texts, tributes, and musical performances of each section can be found in your printed programs. We begin with a musical montage of Gisela and Jose, as so many people here remember them.
Hello, I'm Nels Pearson from the English department, and that was lovely. Gisela had so many interests that touched us all in so many ways, and one of the ways that she touched me was through the love of poetry that we shared. And one night, she introduced me to this wonderful Italian poet, Umberto Saba, who wrote beautifully of the region of Trieste and the Dalmatian coast. And his poem, Ulysses, or Ulisse, is about the never-ending quest for new horizons. And it reminds me so much of Gisela's unquenchable spirit, one that I can only but think still exists. Nella mia giovinezza ho navigato lungo le coste dalmate. In my youth, I sailed the length of the Dalmatian coast. Small islands where an occasional seabird hung suspended, intent over prey, flowered on the surface of the waves, slippery, covered with seaweed like emeralds in the sun. When a full tide and night annulled them, sails scattered downwind towards the open sea to escape their deceptions. Today, my kingdom is this no man's land. The port catches fire with lights for others. The untamed spirit still drives me to the wide sea, the excruciating love of life.
Jose was part of the La Mesa, which is the Spanish table where we gather to practice our Spanish with colleagues. And we always shared our experiences and readings during this weekly meeting. And one of the books that we always discussed was Love in the Times of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. For they had lived together long enough to know that love was always love, anytime and any place, but it was more solid the closer it came to that. Marquez writes, love in the time of cholera is in part the story of Fermina Daza and Florentino Ariza, star-crossed lovers who reunite near the end of their lives. To be together even then, they escape by boat and for the first time enjoy the full pleasure of each other's company on that voyage. Contemplating their return to shore is complicated. It's going to be like dying, Fermina says. Florentino Ariza makes a radical suggestion to the captain of the ship. Here is the book's final passage. Florentino Ariza looked through the windows at the complete circle of the quadrants on the mariner's compass, the clear horizon, the December sky without a single cloud, the waters that could be navigated forever, and he said, "Let us keep going, 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 back to La Dorada." Fermina Daza shuddered because she recognized his former voice, illuminated by the grace of the Holy Spirit, and she looked at the captain. He was their destiny, but the captain did not see her because he was stupefied by Florentina Zarisa's tremendous power of inspiration. "Did you mean what you said?" he asked. "From the moment I was born," said Florentino Ariza, "I had never said anything I did not mean." The captain looked at Fermina Daza and saw on her eyelashes the first glimmer of wintry forest. Then he looked at Florentino Ariza, his invincible power, his intrepid love, and he was overwhelmed by the belated suspicion that it is life. More than that, there is no limits. "And how long do you think we can keep up this goddamn coming and going?" he asked. Florentino Ariza has kept his answer ready for 53 years, 7 months, and 11 days and nights. Forever, he said. Thank you.
So on behalf of the Labrador family, the Gil-Egui family, and my own family, I want to thank everyone for coming, and thank you for bearing with us this terrible grief. We are all here today because we loved Jose and Gisela. We loved them so much that their leaving seems impossible to bear. This memorial is meant to remind us that we must bear it, and we must bear it together. For me, December 30th unleashed a gut-churning cocktail of emotions, a roiling volcano that has yet to cease and that I have yet to make sense of. I'm angry, to start with. I'm angry that all my daydreams, my sense of the future, the rest of my life, my ideas of what I would do after Fairfield when I would retire, all my dreams had Gisela and Jose in them. My wife Hillary has said this too. We pictured each fanciful future we might inhabit, each better place, with Gisela and Jose there with us. And now they are gone, our future a popped balloon. I'm also confused. Before December 30th, when the world was too much for me, I would go to Jose and Gisela and they would nurse me back to health. Some of the nursing involved tequila. But their best medicine was laughter. They would heal me, in Gisela's case, by teasing me, prodding my absurdity and collapsing my self-pity, and in Jose's case, by giving me hugs. My mother said that she thought that Jose was the best hugger she had ever met, and I think she was right. I think I learned how to hug from him, or at least I learned to do it a lot better. And now, who will sustain me when I cannot stand myself? And who will I hug? And I'm worried. I'm worried for my children. It was Jose and Gisela who took my son to his first Broadway play in New York City, who encouraged him to dance, to cook, to enjoy the same La Liga soccer teams that they liked, and to hate the ones they hated. I know that if my son prays for anything, it is that God does not seat Gisela and Jose in the Real Madrid quarter of heaven. Barca would be okay. One of the Galicia teams, Bilbao, even Sevilla, anything but Real Madrid. My son has written Gisela on the back of one soccer cleat and Jose on the other. A goal with either foot is a tribute to at least one of them, but they will no longer be able to come and watch him play. Jose and Gisela cared for my children when Hillary and I went away, made them feel safe, made my children actually wish my wife and I would go away. My daughter knew without asking that with Gisela in charge, you could have what you wanted for dinner, eat 3 desserts if you could just shut up about it, and cuddle all night in Daddy and Mommy's bed with Gisela and the dog in divine contravention of the normal laws of nighttime. I am worried because I don't think anybody will love my children as much as Jose and Gisela did. I'm not sure anybody could love anybody as much as they did. And this is really what I want to say. Gisela and Jose loved. They loved more than I knew was possible. They loved with abandon, recklessly, fearlessly, unwisely. There were no bounds or limits or rationality to their love, no borders. This love started with the love they had for one another, an incandescent affection, a kind of nuclear fusion that fed on itself and warmed every planet in its orbit. When they were small, my kids called both Gisela and Jose Josela, as if together they formed one super person. I think there was some sort of truth in this. Together, Josela generated a warm gravity that drew others to them and drew me in and held me. Jose and Gisela burned with love for each other and sent waves of love into the universe that touched every single person in this room. I remember Gisela telling me how it started, how she fell originally in love. She was feckless, crazy, kinetic, still a teenager. Jose was solid, smart, with an intellect as reliable as the tide. Jose asked Gisela out, and she said yes, and they talked and drank and danced and talked and drank. The night ended, as you might guess, with Gisela being sick all over Jose's car. That was the beginning there in the car. Jose held Gisela as she heaved, held tenderly her hair, comforting the woman he would grow to cherish. And when Gisela told it, she would always stop to laugh at this point in the story, her big, hearty laugh. See, she said, it was love at first sight. I know Jose and Gisela loved one another from that moment nearly 30 years ago, right up to the end. And if there's one small comfort that I take from this loss, it's that they had each other and Gisela's beloved mother and brother right at that most terrible moment. They had each other, and I'm thankful for that. And so this is the final bit of my emotional confession. I'm thankful. I'm so thankful that I knew them. I'm trying to focus on this, trying to keep present in my mind the astonishing good fortune of having such people in my life. I got to experience Jose's cooking and Gisela's Byzantine neuroses, Jose's hugs and Gisela's laughter. I got to share their anxieties and hopes, their dreams, always for others, and to bathe in the warm comfort of their being. I was privileged to love them, and I'm trying to remember that I could only have avoided the pain I now feel by having not known them in the first place. And that would have been a tragedy too horrible to contemplate. So I invite you all to work with me on this. Help her to remember that this searing pain is born of good fortune as well as bad. It is hard to appreciate this, to feel the blessing through the pain, but that is what I'm trying to do. To the families, I offer my condolences, and to all of you, I offer thanks for bearing together this terrible tragedy.
At a holiday gathering this past December, Gisela asked Janie a question pianists rarely get. She wanted to understand the art of pedaling, Though she always sat as close to the stage as possible, she said it was a mystery to her how, when, and why the pianist worked the pedals. No amount of explanation that night satisfied Gisela's curiosity. So Gisela and Janie planned a piano party. Back home, Janie went straight to Chopin's Berceuse, a tender cradle song. Her teacher taught her a magical pedaling for it from a meticulously marked 1800 score passed down to him from his teacher's teacher. This was how Chopin played it, he thought. No wonder Gisela was fascinated by pedaling. She was herself a master at pedaling in life. The strength of her voice comes from the way she let it resonate sympathetically with so many others. She also had a unique gift to mix, blend, and lift the voices of others. She was deeply attuned to each person. Now, our charge is to pass on her legacy, letting it inspire and reverberate in our lives and in generations to come.
I'm reading a poem by George Gerbner, who most of us know not as a poet, but as a scholar of communication. Gisela went to Temple to go study with Professor Gerbner, who was the founder, a seminal figure in the field, the cultivation theory and the Cultural Indicators Project. I say that for the communication students in the room. You know, this was on the midterm, it will be on the midterm, and it's always on the midterm. George was a Renaissance scholar and he dabbled in poetry, and this is a poem by George. Never tired, never worn, love can show in many forms, holding hands, a laugh, a touch, a slight caress, a funny face, all have their place to testify that love remains.
Excerpt from speech given by Dr. King on December 3rd, 1956 in Montgomery, Alabama. We are all challenged to rise above the narrow confines of our individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. The New World is a world of geographical togetherness. This means that no individual or nation can live alone. Our world is geographically one. Now we are faced with the challenge of making it spiritually one. Through our scientific genius, we have made of our world a neighborhood. Now, through our moral and spiritual genius, we must make of it a brotherhood. We are all involved in a single process. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. We are all links in a great chain of humanity. We have before us the glorious opportunity to inject a new dimension of love into the veins of our civilization. The goal is reconciliation. The end is redemption. The end is the creation of the beloved community. It is this type of spirit and this type of love that can transform opposers into friends. It is this type of understanding goodwill that will transform the deep gloom of the old age into exuberant gladness of the new age. It is this love which will bring about miracles in the hearts of men.
In so many ways, I can't believe I'm here. When all our flights were canceled and David texted me, I said, "Get us there." And he said, "I assume anything goes." And I said, "Anything goes." And so to everybody who's traveled through this storm to be here, figuratively and literally, thank you. When I was chair of the communication department at Fairfield, we were well into review of applications for the second of our 2 open positions. We had just hired David Gudalunas in the first of those. I got a phone call from Gisela, who was still at Temple University. She asked whether it was too late to submit an application. As we talked about her work and her interests in the liveliest of exchanges, I quickly realized that she was something special. I frantically reviewed the job ad to ensure that we had not set a firm deadline for applications. If so, it had surely passed. Relief. We had set a soft deadline, indicating only the date by which we would begin reviewing applications, and so we could still consider her. I urged her to send me her materials ASAP, which she did via email within the hour. She was as impressive on paper as she was fascinating on the phone. My colleagues agreed, and we added her to our list of finalists, the others of whom we had all met face-to-face already in preliminary interviews at our conference. Gisela came from Philly by train, and I picked her up at the Bridgeport train station myself. We recognized each other instantly by the descriptions we'd exchanged, but I have to admit that the intensity of her energy and of her beauty were breathtaking. As we all know, she was so bright, so quick, so articulate, her work so interesting, her passion so infectious. Over the course of the interview, she communicated a clear sense of how her teaching and scholarship would connect to Fairfield's Jesuit mission, and was attuned in all of her work to contributing to the common good. Suffice it to say, she impressed us all, and Gisela went on to become a popular, though very demanding, teacher, evolved into a productive and influential scholar, though she was always unnecessarily insecure in this area. And she was a cherished departmental colleague, though she was often an outlier on many department matters. We made a lot of good hires over the years in communication, and Gisela was certainly one of the very best. I still remember that phone call and that meeting on the train platform as a kind of love at first sight. She used to tell this story in the reverse about seeing me, and it was a much funnier story. As we came to understand quickly and over the ensuing 12 years, Gisela was simply incorrigible. Not in the sense of being irredeemable, though she might have seen herself in that way, but in the sense of being resolute and tenacious and indomitable. There was nowhere more apparent than in her approach to teaching, where she brought an unwavering commitment to her students and to engaging her students with the world. In her rank and tenure dossier, I recall that Gisela's reflections on teaching were among the most conscientious and astute I've ever read. She elegantly articulated her teaching philosophy and goals, which were equally grounded in her discipline and in Fairfield's mission. Her narrative, the testimonies from colleagues, and her student evaluations all demonstrated that Gisela was an extraordinarily dedicated teacher who prioritized creating compelling learning experiences and mentoring her students above all else. Perhaps no subject area more than new media technologies requires wholesale revision every semester, as technologies and their uses, as well as related policy discussions and controversies, change so rapidly. In all my years as a teacher, I've never known anyone to work on course prep, content refresh, syllabus revision, assignment design, lectures, classroom activities, etc., as tirelessly as Gisela did. She was similarly tenacious in her approach to pedagogical improvement, whether related to her accent, her use of technology, her management of classroom discussion, almost always with respect to student feedback, student needs, and student learning. Gisela was similarly indomitable as an advisor and in university service. No matter how many times we advised her in those early years to reserve time for her scholarship, she would never close her door to a student, and with the smell of microwave popcorn wafting down the hallway of Donnarumma's second floor, she would help students on their papers for as much time as it took, weaving discussion of theory and methods and media trends with students' life stories, professional goals, and academic challenges. That she was a demanding teacher, but the one that would help students endlessly if only they asked, was the most common refrain on her course evaluations. She graded papers with unending zeal into the wee hours of the night, sometimes sleeping a few hours, then setting her alarm for pre-dawn to take it up again. She was similarly among the first to put her shoulder to the wheel of a good campus initiative, pedagogical project, or faculty welfare activity. Through Latin American Caribbean Studies, the Center for Teaching Excellence, collaborations with colleagues in the library, on committees, in community engagement and service learning, and by showing up for so many talks and events, Gisela was an ever-present contributor to the intellectual and collegial community that is Fairfield University. She was resolute as a scholar, too. I had great personal admiration for Gisela's research, which consistently advanced notions of democracy equality, justice, and the common good in the brave new worlds of technoculture and information society. Media scholars can be incorrigible pessimists and cynics. But Gisela was an indomitable critic and also optimist, though she might not have thought so, in the sense that her media activism knew no bounds, and her defense of a democratic internet was tireless. She demonstrated equal dedication to critiquing the media as to promoting creative alternatives to hegemonic media content and policy. And this was the same dialectic into which she invited her students, not only as critics, but as creators and change agents. Gisela and Jose were likewise indefatigable socially. They said yes to every invitation, and their dance card was always full. They were the liveliest of conversationalists and seemed to have something to offer on any topic, always up to date on the news through both mainstream and alternative sources, and having read widely in the scholarly literature, and often from personal experience. They could debate and discuss any topic on current events, pop culture trends, sports controversies, foreign films, or political issues without abatement. Conversation, I think, was the same as breathing for Gisela. That's a lot coming from me. She inspired her colleagues and students alike with her fervor for conversation, and Jose was the jolliest conversational partner, even in disagreement. He also was an indomitable good sport when it came to fantasy baseball, and the most gracious and consistent loser in the league. Gisela and Jose were steadfastly for and with each other. There was such a special rapport between these two individuals. They were so obviously best friends, in addition to being an old married couple after so many years together. Their intimacy and companionship were so easy, so natural, so steeped in time and mutuality and trust. They showed such a respect and tenderness towards each other. There was also such a physical ease between them, which we really saw. There'd be a glance across the room, a casual leaning against each other while they talked to other people, Jose in a chair, Gisela so often on the floor where she liked to sit. Sure, they interrupted each other constantly, and they talked over each other, but this seemed to arise from pure excitement for the banter. Gisela spoke so much faster than Jose, especially in English, and he had to content himself so often with inserting keywords here and there, or racing ahead to harmonize the end of her sentences. They could always finish each other's sentences. This conversational duet was hilarious to me at first, and then I came to understand it as simply their unique tandem discursive style. It was so endearing. It was like a kind of musical accompaniment they provided each other. Gisela and Jose, as we've heard, could party incorrigibly too. They were truly the life of any party. They talked to everyone without prejudice for popularity or political intergroup dynamics or the quirks known to be associated with this or that personality, and you know who you are. They never failed to cajole each other, to cajole each of us to stay, to dance, to have one more, to play another round of dominoes, to kick sensible practicality and whatever tasks awaited down the road a bit, to remain with them, swirling in the joy of the moment, the communion of friends and food and drink and laughter and ideas. David and I had much in common with Gisela and Jose: international research and travel, love of good food and wine, especially Spanish, and all things baseball. We made having dinner together a regular event. David and I were both more advanced in our careers than they were, and we knew they had little disposable income and plenty of student loan debt. But we still had to fight to pay the check at restaurants, which evolved into a fierce and creative competition over the years. My cat allergy, sorry Phoebe, meant we hosted at our home. Gisela and Jose always showed up with the promised contribution, why don't you bring the dessert, along with one or two other dishes. Jose loved to prepare complex delights like paella and brought giant vessels of it, or there would be 3 different tapas. and never fewer than 2 bottles of wine or a great bottle of tequila, or both. They were each more irrepressibly generous than the other. We always ate and drank ourselves and talked ourselves silly, and we'd be nearly weeping as we bid each other goodnight with hugs and kisses and leftovers divvied up. I can't say how many evenings like this we shared over the years. There are too many to count, but there were too few. Throughout this first year in Los Angeles, David and I have had so many unique experiences and new experiences. How many times have we said, when Gisela and Jose come, we must take them here. We'll have to eat this. Oh, they'll love doing this. In our exchange of messages when Phoebe died, and in our holiday greetings, we had begun planning their 2016 visit. For some time during baseball season, naturally. Ya nos hacen falta tan profundamente, carísimos colegas, compañeros, espíritus incomparables. Es imposible imaginar este mundo sin ustedes al lado de nosotros. Nunca nos despedirnos, siempre les recordamos. Nos vemos a la próxima fiesta.
En el corazón llevo en mi sangre la espuma del mar y tu horizonte en mis ojos. No envidio el vuelo ni el nido al turpial, soy como el viento en la miel. Siento el Caribe como a una mujer, soy así, ¿qué voy a hacer?
Soy desierto, selva, nieve y volcán, y al andar dejo una estela
del rumor del llano en una canción que me desvela.
La mujer que quiero tiene que ser corazón, fuego y escuela.
Con la piel tostada como una flor de Venezuela. Con tu paisaje y mis sueños me iré por esos mundos de Dios, y tus recuerdos al atardecer me harán más corto el camino. Entre tus playas quedó mi niñez, tendida al viento y al sol, y esa nostalgia que sube a mi voz sin querer se hizo canción.
De los montes quiero la inmensidad y del río la acuarela.
no sorrow to die. Because I have loved life, I shall have no sorrow to die. I have sent out my sadness on wings to be lost in the blue of the sky. I have run and leaped with the rain. I have taken the wind to my breasts. My cheeks like a drowsy child, to the face of the earth I have pressed. Because I have loved life, I shall have no sorrow to die.
I have kissed young love on the lips. I have heard his song to the end. I have struck my hand like a seal, and the loyal hand of a friend. I have known the peace of heaven, the comfort of work done well. I have longed for death in the darkness and risen alive out of hell. Because I have loved life, I shall have no sorrow to die. I give a share of my soul to the world where my course is run. I know that another shall finish the task I must leave undone. My life on this earth is over, and I come to my time of rest. Think of the ways that you knew me, and remember only my best. Because I have loved life, I shall have no sorrow to die. Based on a poem by Amelia Josephine Burr.
From Gisela's 10-year dossier. Most of my teaching energy is invested in finding common denominators between the motivations that drive my work as a communication scholar and the multiple motivations that drive so many students to our major in communication. In fact, I frequently see myself, 20-something years ago, reflected in many of the confusions and idealizations that our students bring when declaring a major in communication. I think, however, that one of my most important accomplishments as a teacher has been to provide cultural bridges, especially through one-on-one interaction outside the classroom, where students and I can meet halfway between our initially diverging perspectives to share experiences of mutual learning.
David, I cannot get Gisela out of my head. So if I mess up on this and combine them, please forgive me. Actually, no, don't forgive me. I know that Fairfield U has this orientation toward a reflection on one's experience to inform and guide one's actions. And I had to think on that, because Jose was very special to us at Housatonic. And when we heard the news, the outpouring of comments, of grief, of sadness, and a manifestation in a community that was very rare. People were heartbroken, and you could feel it. You could actually feel it throughout the community. We had lost a precious friend. And I really would like you to do something for me right now. I'd like you to think of one attribute, one aspect of Gisela, and just hold it there. Don't let go of it yet. Just hold it, okay, because I'm going to get there. I needed some help along these lines, so I went back to an old German monk from the 14th century named Thomas à Kempis. And he said the following: "For God takes account of the greatness of our motives rather than our achievements. Without love, external work is of no value. But anything done in love, be it ever so small and trivial, is entirely fruitful, inasmuch as God weighs the love with which the person acts rather than the deed itself. Whoever loves much does much. Whoever does something well does a thing well. He does well who serves the common good rather than his own interests. David, I heard you talked about the love that's manifested from Gisela. And I have to tell you, it is true. There was an overarching theme from the commentaries made by the faculty and staff and students at Housatonic, because Jose had a very special position. Being involved with distance learning and Blackboard, I mean, he had to deal with us as a faculty, full and part-time, with students. So I don't think there was any one person who had a greater visibility and exposure on a one-on-one level than Jose had. So he was beloved. And one of the things that I noticed was a theme that went throughout the comments. And I said, I've seen this theme before. And I realized that I want to talk to you now about fruit and trees. Because Jesus said, you will know them by their fruit. So every tree bears good fruit. And what I'm trying to say about Gisela at this particular point is that the reason the fruit was good, because the root, the tree itself, was love. So let me borrow again from somebody who's a lot better at this than I am, the Apostle Paul. In Galatians 5:22, he says the following: the fruit of the Spirit, that's the fruit of the Holy Spirit. We're all created in God's image. And as a result of that, we are capable of manifesting this. And I have to tell you, throughout all the comments, this theme was there. And I asked you to hold on to one thing. And let me see if you could identify. The fruit of the Spirit, love. It seeks the higher good of others. Joy. Look at all those pictures. They were joyful. Peace, contentment, unity between people. I've seen Jose manifest an amazing amount of peace and unity, even in the midst of very anxious situations. Patience. You've heard the expression, somebody has the patience of Job. Well, Jose had it. I could tell you this much, Professor Marks, who's here from Housatonic, could not believe the amount of patience that Jose had with some of us who were, well, let's just say technologically challenged. Whether it was faculty, staff, students, it didn't matter. He had more than the patience of Job. Kindness, merciful, sweet, tender. Goodness, generous, and open-hearted. Faithfulness, dependable, loyal, full of trust. I could tell you this man could have been a fireman. He has rescued so many of us so many times. Gentleness, humble, calm, non-threatening. Self-control, discipline. I have to tell you, this theme, the fruit of the Holy Spirit, was manifested in front of me. Jose was a dear friend. As a matter of fact, I'm even suffering for it now because my wife liked to bake, and every time she made a cake, she would always say, make sure Jose gets his portion. He liked to eat. And I said, Jose, how was the cake last night? He says, oh, I loved it, so did my wife. I'm still waiting for cake. But I could tell you this, that when I understood it to be the fruit of the Holy Spirit, and I said, I'm looking at it. I'm living with it. I'm sitting down and talking to him about everything from soccer, again, as you said so well, to things about life in the world. He was very intelligent. And I said, the theme that comes through in everyone, St. Paul wrote about a long time ago. So now I'm going to ask you to recall what I encouraged you to think about. And now ask, how can I manifest the fruit that Gisela manifested in my life? A true remembrance, my friends, will be that I behaved and loved and bore the fruit that they bore. Bless you.
Gisela. I'm calling you because I have a problem and I thought you could help me resolve it. You see, I've been having the hardest time trying to say goodbye to someone who had the biggest impact on, well, she had the biggest impact on a lot of people, not just me. She taught me so much too, like the value of time and how it's one of those things in life you just can't give back when someone gives it to you, and yet somehow she was always willing to give plenty of her time to me without expecting anything in return. She helped me understand the world a little better by opening up my eyes to new ideas and to keep them open to even better ones in order to make my life a wonderful experience. She also knew how important it was for me to get my college to do better. Much more, she was a dream enabler. Because of people like her, I'm now living out my own. And she helped me earn it when she became one of those great professors who challenges you to be better. You know, I'm beginning to realize that my problem in having a hard time in saying goodbye is, well, I just don't want to do so. I mean, why would you want to say goodbye to somebody like this, you know? I can only find solace in the gratitude she instilled in me, though. And you know what? Perhaps saying goodbye is so damn hard sometimes because instead what we should be saying is thank you. It's as simple as that. So Gisela, thank you. For I am forever changed for who you were and what you've come to mean to me. Somehow I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, and I find comfort in that. I'll see you around, okay? Oh, and thanks for helping me resolve this problem.
Hey everyone, my name's Nick Rogers. I'm a comm major. I took 3 of Gisela's classes, but I don't only want to speak for myself. I want to speak for all comm students who took classes with Gisela. So what I did was I communicated, because that's what we do best, communication majors, with some fellow classmates of mine who I took more than one classes of hers with. And they all said the same things. First of all of them said that she was their favorite teacher, which I thought was pretty great. Second, they all spoke about how passionate she was and how her passion motivated them to want to do well and made them so interested in the material. And not only that, she wanted each student individually to do well, not just her class. Each student individually. She was rooting, for the underdog too, the person who would come to class and drain themselves in the laptop. She was like, she saw value in them, and I could share an example. One class pretty recently, she said, Nick, and we'll call him Larry. She said, Nick, Larry, can you talk to me after class? And I said, he said, sure. So she. And well, just to let you know, Larry was kind of the underdog that I was just described, and I'm not ahead of schedule. We'll put it that way. So she talks to us after class. She goes, Larry, I was so impressed with your contributions to class today. You're really improving. You obviously did the reading in depth, and I'm really happy to see you're improving. Keep up the good work. And she turns to me and says, Nick, where's your assignment? It was due 2 days ago, and I think that just shows, she knows I don't care, so she knows me personally, so she knows that, I don't care. She knew all of us on a personal level. Something else that was kind of funny about her is my mom is also a professor. She's an English lit and writing professor, and she's similar to Gisela in how she likes to relate her material to real world, everyday things in the real world and current issues. And so, she's like, Nick, I need some help. What kind of articles are your teachers, having you read? And I said, well, my teacher, Gisela, actually is teaching a class without a textbook and is only basing it off of her research and all of her articles connect, and there's even some videos that are banned from the internet in there. So my mom asked me to send them. I sent her like 3, and this resulted in a running joke with my mom and I, that she would always say, like, I'm obsessed with Gisela, like, send me more articles. And so I had to email Gisela, like, hi Gisela, my mom's kind of obsessed with you. Do you mind if I send her all the articles that you had us read? And of course she said okay. So I just thought that was pretty funny. And it wasn't only the underdog she was rooting for. Like, if you wanted to go the extra mile, she'll take you 1,000 extra miles to Nicaragua and have you research do communication research in Nicaragua. So I just think this made her a really special person, and I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to take classes with her. And something else that's cool about her is I don't know how to pronounce her last name because she never asked us to say her last name. She's always been Gisela, and I always thought that was pretty awesome, especially for her. I think if anybody deserves to be called Dr. Egui, that it would be her. I mean, she taught a class without a textbook, only based on her research. She's taking students to other countries, so I think if anyone deserves to be called doctor, it's her. But no, she's Gisela, and I'm really thankful, and I feel so lucky that I had the opportunity to take a class with a teacher who was passionate about everything, including tequila, and I feel really thankful, and I think everyone who took her class should feel really lucky, and I think they do. So rest in peace, Gisela. Thank you.
On behalf of Don Zenén and Doña Feli, Jose's parents who are in Spain, and also on behalf of Ramon and Luz Marina here with us, Gisela's brother and sister, I just want to thank you all for loving Gisela and Jose. I apologize with the English speakers because I'm gonna switch to Spanish now, right? The truth though is that I woke up several nights trying to prepare something to read here, right? But any time that I was starting, I couldn't finish. So I decided to speak from my heart. And the problem is that my heart hasn't learned English yet, right? So I'm gonna switch to Spanish with your apologies. Para todos los que están con nosotros acá y que hablan español, y para todos aquellos que están con nosotros también a través del internet, en el nombre de Doña Feli y Don Zenén, en España, los padres de José, y en nombre de Ramón y de Luz Marina acá presentes con nosotros, hermanos de Gisela, quiero agradecerles a todos por haberlos amado. Es difícil para mí poder hablar de Gisela y de José porque estando nosotros como latinos solos y lejos de la familia, ellos se convirtieron en parte de nuestra familia. Desde el 30 de diciembre hay 4 estrellas más en el cielo y recordaremos esas 4 estrellas. Doña Gisela, o Gisela como a ella le gustaría que la llamara, será recordada cada vez que se levante esa cosecha de arroz en calabozo. Miguel, cada vez que nos juntemos tus amigos a juntar dominó, te recordaremos. Con la partida de Gisela yo quedé viudo. Yo siempre bromeaba que ella era mi esposa profesional. Dimos clases juntos, viajamos a Nicaragua juntos, dirigimos el programa de Latinoamérica y el Caribe juntos y tuvimos un hijo juntos. Sí, me refiero a un documento que escribimos juntos. Todos acá han recordado lo maravillosa que ella era y yo no voy a negar nada de todo lo que aquí se ha dicho. pero mi relación con Gisela no estaba basada en el tequila, cosa rara. No estaba tampoco basada ni en la cerveza ni en el vino, ni tampoco en el dominó, porque siempre yo le ganaba a ella. Estaba basada en una mezcla única de conflicto y amor, ¿verdad? Era una mujer muy difícil y cualquier persona que la haya conocido como la conocí yo, aquí hay amigos de ella que pueden decir, ¿verdad, Martita? Era una mujer muy difícil, pero su conflicto y su capacidad de amar al mismo tiempo fue lo que nos unió. Mi familia la va a recordar mucho, ¿verdad? Mi esposa creo que ya no va a poder comer arepas por un buen tiempo. Y mis niñas han perdido a una tía. Ella siempre decía que, aunque ella no era material para ser mamá, si le prometieran que sus hijos iban a ser como mi hija grande, ella hubiera tenido una docena. Para ti, mi vida, un último beso. He dejado de último a José porque hay algo que creo que ninguno o muy poca gente conoce y que fue lo que a mí realmente me unió mucho, mucho a José. Lo que me unió fue un amor inexplicable hacia nuestros padres. José era el hijo más devoto que pueda existir en este mundo. Doña Feli, don Zenén, allá donde están en España, ustedes dieron a luz y criaron al hombre más noble que yo he conocido. Para ustedes un abrazo y también para ti, mi hermano. Y a la Madrid.
Cuando un amigo se va, queda un espacio vacío que no lo puede llenar la llegada de otro amigo. Cuando un amigo se va, queda un tizón encendido que no se puede apagar ni con las aguas de un río. Cuando un amigo se va, una estrella se ha perdido, la que ilumina el lugar donde hay un niño dormido. Cuando un amigo se va, se detienen los caminos y se empieza a revelar el duende manso del vino. Cuando un amigo se va, queda un terreno baldío que quiere el tiempo llenar con las piedras del hastío. Cuando un amigo se va, se queda un árbol caído que ya no vuelve a brotar porque el viento lo ha vencido. Cuando un amigo se va,
Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. I've heard it said that services such as this are about those who have passed, but they are for those who live on. While we grieve the loss of our beloved friends and colleagues, Jose and Gisela, I am still struck by the commemoration and the celebration of their lives here today. The word commemorate comes from the Latin, meaning we remember together. The word celebrate also comes from the Latin, which means to assemble together to honor. And so it is appropriate that all these families and all these institutions from across the country, across the world, have been brought together into one community to share our memories in honor of Jose and Gisela. I did not have the opportunity to meet Gisela, but I wish that I had. The one argument, only one, that Jose and I had was over which of our wives made the best flan. In the last several weeks, I have come to know that Gisela was an exceptional scholar and teacher. She was a woman of extraordinary beauty of spirit, that she touched everyone she met with her warmth and her kindness. When I came here about a week or so ago to see the campus and see this particular space, I ran into a gentleman, and those of you at Fairfield probably know him by the name of Hector. He is a member of your staff, of your custodial staff, and I let him know what I was here, and he warmly and graciously opened the door so I could, see this environment. And we began to talk about Gisela. And I hope he does not mind that I'm talking about him, but he teared up, and he spoke of her warmth, and he spoke of the impact that she had had on him. And so I get this impression that here at Fairfield University, that Gisela and Jose with her had an impact on everybody from the top of the organizational chart all the way to the bottom. There's something to be said for that kind of warmth and kindness. For what has impressed me the most about Gisela is her commitment to social justice. She understood something that there are so many people, educators, politicians, leaders, and even whole societies, that if there is no justice for all of us, there is no justice for any of us. I have the privilege of working with Jose for a bit over a year, but that was more than enough time for him to have the impact on me that he did. In his role at Housatonic, Jose supported every single faculty member, every single staff member, and every single student with regards to our distance learning and other distance education platforms. The most impressive part, and maybe I'm speaking as a supervisor, is that everything was always done. Everything. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out how he could have everything done. I never heard, oh, I'm waiting on Jose for this. Oh, I've been waiting on Jose for that I know of. He didn't stay till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. He went home on time and all of that. I can't figure out how he was able to meet the needs of so many people. And not only did he meet those needs, if you listen and read the comments from the members of the Housatonic community in the days and weeks after his passing, there are two words that you would see almost without exception: patient and kind. Not only did he meet the needs, he met them with patience and kindness. And there's something to be said for those two qualities. There is far too little of them in our communities and in our world. It's rare to meet people like Jose and Gisela, and it's even rarer for two people like that to be matched together. So it makes it that much harder on all of us to have lost them both. And particularly to the families who have lost not just Jose and Gisela, but a mother and a brother as well. All of us who must continue living and teaching and studying and working without our son and daughter, our brother and sister, our teachers, our colleagues, our friends, we are left with the question: how do we commemorate and celebrate Jose and Gisela? I find my answer in the 4th chapter of Philippians, where the Apostle Paul writes, "Finally, my brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which ye have both learned and received, and heard and seen in me, do, and the God of peace shall be with you." We remember and we honor Jose and Gisela by reflecting on the fruits of their spirit. We remember and honor Jose and Gisela by keeping on doing the things that we did with them. We must care for each other. We must care for each other's children. We must eat flan. We must eat paella. We must travel. We must party. And we must drink tequila. We remember and honor Jose by practicing what they taught us, to serve others with patience and kindness. We remember and honor Jose and Gisela by freely sharing with others what they so freely shared with us: all their joy, all their passion, all their humor, and all their love. We remember and honor Jose and Gisela by letting the best in them touch and stir up the best in all of us. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Gisela, for giving us so much to think about and to do.
From time to time, Fairfield University recognizes individuals who have served their communities and who have been exemplary in their willingness to work in the interests of social justice with the John Lafarge Award. This award is named after the American Jesuit John Lafarge, himself an educator and a communicator, having served as the editor of the Jesuit magazine America. Lafarge was an early champion of civil rights and a tireless advocate for the disadvantaged, and one who wrote and lectured on the principle that basic human rights should apply universally to everyone of every cultural background. In recognition of Gisela's work and example, and in appreciation for her dedication to her students, to social justice, and to the Fairfield University community, we honor Gisela's memory by posthumously awarding her the John Lafarge Award. I would like to, at this time, invite her brother Ramon to join me on the stage, where Wiley Smith Blake of the Office of Campus Ministry and I will be presenting the John Lafarge Award. Ramon.
just a few words. I really believe that me and my family are so close about you people, because now I understood that how huge and big and extended were our family, with Gisela's, love and Jose's kindness. So just want to say thank you a lot. We feel you very close, and at this moment I can feel, I think I need some adoption from you. So please be in touch, and let's celebrate our memories like you said. Okay. Thank you a lot.
As has been mentioned by others this afternoon, Gisela was a professor of communication. In an unbelievable bit of coincidence, she co-authored a paper in 2013 titled RIP, Remain in Perpetuity, Facebook Memorial Pages. This excerpt from the paper speaks for itself. Facebook constitutes itself as a place for people to connect and share, a place to form online communities and engage in discussion. It is also a place to commune with and about the dead in a public forum. Facebook friends can and do continue to post comments to the deceased and have dialogues with each other. In addition, through their posts, the friends collectively remember the deceased, engaging in ritualistic behaviors akin to behaviors performed at wakes, burials, and cemetery visits. The difference is that these discussions and rituals are public, virtual, eternal, and direct. These memorial pages and their posted messages provide archival evidence of contemporary practice of mourning, particularly in an age of high mobility, greater technological access, and virtual social connectivity. Similar to tombs in the offline world, memorial pages for the dead in Facebook provide a place to visit with dead loved ones. The signification of these memorial sites is the ways in which they are used to materialize memory. That is, using material objects as a way to keep the dead close. This may be particularly true with violent or premature death, since there may not be any immediate material effects such as clothing, jewelry, or photos from the moments before passing, as with a soldier killed in war. Just as with a viewing, memorial sites show the deceased at peace and not in moments of pain or illness. Facebook memorial pages aid in the bereavement of the deceased and allow a continuing space to engage with the deceased in a mediated, virtual, and spiritual space. If the dead are virtually memorialized, they never really die. The more in-depth the memorial and the greater its permanence, the more the deceased remain with the living. No matter where we are on the spectrum of religious or spiritual belief, whatever our hopes may or may not be about our fates beyond the grave, all of us grieve at the death of those we love. They leave holes in our hearts and our lives that no one can fill in quite the same way. And our tributes this afternoon give ample evidence of that. Fare thee well, Gisela and Jose. We miss you. May the love you shared with each other and with us always be alive in our hearts. Rest in peace. This concludes our service this afternoon. Everyone is welcome to continue to gather for conversation and companionship in a reception in the lobby as you exit the theater. And a reminder that there will be another opportunity this evening to continue to share and reminisce and be together in the university levee, the student bar, at 7:30 p.m.